Frank, obviously you guys played a couple days ago. Mississippi State hasn't played till the 29th, since the 29th. Do you think that's any kind of advantage, knowing that they haven't played in so long?
Probably not. Their top 6 guys have been together for 3 years, and their 7th man's a McDonald All-American. So they got real good players with unbelievable experience. So they'll be as good as they've been all year. They're a real good basketball team.
With young teams, there's some inconsistencies in terms of game-by-game performance and players having up and down games. How, after, I guess, Saturday's game, how do you kind of combat that and make sure that they kind of stay even keel and not get too high or too low after that kind of game?
Well, that's what you battle when you play freshmen. Our freshmen played really bad at Wyoming, and then they played pretty good against Michigan. And it's all you can do is challenge them, put it in front of them, and they got you got two options when you're a freshman. I've said this, I've repeated it to our team. I told our guys at halftime, because AJ and Keyshawn, neither one played real well in the first half at Florida, and I told both of them at halftime, remind them what I've told them the whole year. You can be that top 50 guy that everyone raves about, and everyone talks about how many great stars you had in high school, that sits on the bench and never gets in the game. Or you can be that guy, whether you got 5 stars or -3 stars, that has to play. And if you have to play, you got to be ready to be in the fire every day and not complain, that it's hard. And but that's, as a coach, that's when you're dependent on freshmen, that's the challenge. Is I got to get them ready. It's my job. It's their job to accept the responsibility, and it's my job to get them ready. And that's the journey you go through. It's just plain and simple. And those freshmen, I can't ask for them to do more than what they're doing. I got to be patient with them as they continue to learn, and they have to continue to be aggressive and eager that they get the opportunity to play 30 minutes a game or 25 minutes a game. It's they can be one of those great 900 stars guys that everyone writes about how bad the coaches are because they don't play, because he's behind a junior and a senior that are really good that no one gives credit to. So, it's our guys got to play. So they know it. I know it. We talk about it. We don't try to run away from it. They have to embrace the opportunity and be prepared for it, and I have to help them on a daily basis.
Frank, lost in everything that happened at the end of that game, and the dramatics that came with it was the fact that you guys held them without a field goal for the final, I think 7-17. Was that the best stretch of defense you've played this year, and how important is that going into now playing Mississippi State with, what they can do with the Weatherspoons and those guys?
I think we've been defending real good for a while now. I think we've grown tremendously on defense. I don't know what we give them, 30 points off our turnovers in that game, 25. I don't know what the number is. Can you imagine if you cut those in half? Like instead of 25, we go 12 points because we don't turn it over as much the way we did first 30 minutes of the game. What would our defensive numbers would have been then if you eliminate those layups and open threes we gave because we turned it over and couldn't get back? I think we've been defending well, and I've been pushing them, and they've bought in, and we got to keep working at it. We're not there yet. We got to finish off. It continues to be a problem for this team. We got to finish off possessions by coming up with the rebound or the loose ball. It almost cost us the game, our inability to get defensive rebounds or loose balls in the last 2.5 minutes of the game.
A little off topic, but Don told a story the other day about the team. They arrived at the SEC tournament and forgot their scouting reports, and they called back here to Columbia, and they called Mac Kordell, and he kind of saved them and sent them to them right away. Do you have a story where he kind of saved you guys, or you showed up here in the middle of the night and he was here working on things, or a favorite Mac story?
Mac saves all of us on a daily basis. Okay, I'm going to tell you my first interaction with Mac that told me what he's all about. It's my first summer here as a head coach. So I've never coached a game. I've never won a game as a South Carolina basketball coach. he and I had just met 3 months earlier. I've been running around trying to recruit everyone in the country. So it's not like I've had a lot of time to build a relationship with them. And all of a sudden we turn around and it's team camp weekend. And it's Friday night. And we had 100 teams here. And the last game ended around 10 o'clock at night. So, you know, now everyone leaves and I go in the locker room and kind of catch my breath. And, you know, I'm here all day, just like my staff was, trying to meet as many people as we could since none of us were from the area. And now I walk out. And I was walking through the Coliseum. And at the time, it wasn't our practice facility. At the time, we'd set it up for camp. And there's no one in the gym but Mac. There's paper cups everywhere. There's tape, like people cut off their ankle tapes and just threw them on the floor. You know, and you got team camp. You got a lot of people there. And he's on his hands and knees drying up a wet spot by one of the benches. And I walked up to him. I said, Mac, come on, man. 10:30 at night, whatever time it was. It's okay. He looked at me dead in my eyes. And he said, Coach, this is my job. I never once again questioned that man's loyalty to his job and to making this a better place for everyone that's a part of basketball on this campus. And and that's a daily thing with him. Sleeping, I'd walk in here. You know, it's like, you know, I'm not one of those coaches that claims I beat the birds to chirping, okay? But there's some days that you go home and you can't sleep because you're in the middle of the season and you're miserable and you're frustrated and you're staring at the ceiling, and I don't care how hard you try to sleep, it's hard to do. And rather than be a miserable person around your family, you just get in your car and you leave. And you go be a miserable person by yourself in the office. And I've walked in here and opened the locker room door to go change, and he's sleeping on the couch because he was in here till 4 in the morning doing laundry so everybody, coaches included, can have clean clothes the next day. That's a sacrifice that he's been making for 46 years. You know, not too many people. If we had more people in the world care about their jobs the way he cared about his, we'd have an unbelievably successful place that we can all call home.
Frank, you've been coaching for a long time. I'm sure you've seen quite your share of close games. When you have that on the sideline, you know, I'm sure you know what it's like to watch it from the stands. But what is it like as a coach when you see a game, you know, come down to like the Florida game did? Is it hard, difficult to calm yourself down? Is it a calm experience?
You have to. I mean, you know, you're always worried about the next play. That's, as a coach, you're not. I don't know. Maybe some coaches do. I can't speak for others. You know, I know what we drew up. I knew what we asked. And, you know, Felipe had 2 options on the play. Option A was if Chris, like I explained after the game, option A is if they switch that middle screen between Hassani and Felipe, which is a guard on big. Felipe's read was throw it deep. If he couldn't see it for whatever reason, then try and hit Hassani as close to the half-court line as you could. And now their big is going to be guarding Hassani in the open court. You know, we told Hassani, you got 3 dribbles or 2 in a pass. And then the last option was if Chris gets behind the defense, throw it. And, you know, like I said during the game, give Felipe credit. He was patient. He didn't just freak out and pass it on the first second he touched the ball. He did exactly what we asked. We asked him to take the ball out of bounds, run to the what would be the right side of the floor, and then sprint the baseline to the left side, and then make the pass that he saw open. And give him credit. He made the read. But as a coach, you see the ball in the air, and you're anxious to see what's going to happen. But once I see Chris dunking the ball, my mindset is 2 things, is next play, and then make sure that no one on our bench is running on the court. That's basically what my brain was telling me. And, you know, and then I wish we didn't have instant replay in that moment. That way they only have 1-5 instead of 2-5. I would have been a lot happier. But, yeah, that's assistants' jobs is always keep guys off the bench. Scott Greenewalt, who's been with me forever, that's why he sits where he sits. That's, and Andy's the same way, and the assistants are the same way. But as a head coach, you're always worried about it. At the end of the day, guys run on the court and they get teched up. You guys are not going to be blaming Scott. You're going to blame me. So I'm always worried about that.
Coach, just a quick question off that big play. How different is it if they guard the inbounds? Is there a change to the strategy if Felipe has somebody on him? And then have you noticed in the last few days how that win has impacted the team? Has there been a shift in their demeanor or look into SEC play after starting it that way?
Yeah, the greatest thing in life is everyone that sits back and doesn't have to make those decisions, but then has opinions after decisions are made. I wish I had one of them jobs. I wish I had one of them jobs where I can sit back and just second guess every decision everyone in every walk of life makes the way us coaches get second guessed. I've done it both ways. I mean, you remember Christian Leitner's shot? Patino to this day gets criticized for not putting someone on the ball. But think about this. So if you don't put anyone on the ball, it's a 90-foot court. So then that means the other team has how many on the floor? 4? That means you got how many on defense? 5? I don't know about you, but if I had to fight, I like fighting with 5 against 4 more than 4 against 5. That's just me. We executed. Their guys were there, and we came up with the ball, and they didn't. So if they had 2 guys on Chris Silva, they made the mistake that they both got ahead of him. That's just a mistake. If one stays behind, one stays in front, we might not be sitting here talking to you about what a successful play we ran. Somebody made a mistake. Game's fast. It happens. But, the guy on the ball makes it harder to make a short pass, like a half-court. Like the pass to Hassani would have been hard with a 6'10" guy in front. The long pass over the top, that one's irrelevant. That you can put a 7'9" guy in front of the guy with the ball. It's not going to impact him throwing it down the court. So I just wish one day I can retire and have one of them jobs where I can sit back and criticize every banker that makes a decision, every attorney that tries a case and loses, and we live in a funny world these days, man. They're a real good team that's very well coached. It's the #1 defense. Think about what we just did against the #1 defense. That's what the story should be. Shouldn't be Florida's mistake. Should be that South Carolina played the #1 defensive team in the SEC and scored 71 against them. That's what the story should be.
You mentioned, I guess, going into SEC play, you'd like to see more production out of the big spot out opposite Chris. I think Felipe and Mike got to the line 10 times the other night, and Mike hauled in a couple offensive rebounds. Is that more of what you'd like to see from them? And what else would you like to see, I guess, moving forward?
Yeah, we got to shoot free throws. It's imperative for our big guys to get to the line. Challenging our guards to get to the line. We don't. In the open court, we attack the rim, but when the defense is set, we just get a little passive from the guard spot. We got to be more aggressive off the bounce and attack the paint with the dribble. But we need, now Alonzo's healthy again. We need all 4 of those guys to be a presence in the paint. Chris is going to be a presence in the paint. I think he's established that over the last 4 years. We don't have to worry about that. He needs to convert more of his shots around the basket. That's his next step as a player. He's got to become a little bit more efficient on converting those plays. I'm not talking about when there's no one in the way and he can dunk. He can do that. I'm not about when the defender don't get out of the way and you got to score over him from 4 or 5 feet. He's got to get better at that. That's his deal. But he's going to be a presence in the paint. We need Mike. Mike gave us, I think, 4 offensive rebounds in that game. He gave us. You can be a presence scoring or you can be a presence offensive rebounding. Dennis Rodman never scored a basket. He's as big an offensive presence in the paint as we've had in my lifetime because of his ability to offensive rebound. Puts fouls on people. It gets other people threes. It gets you extra possessions. So Mike did that for us. Now Felipe is the challenge. Felipe's got to get better at that for us. He shot 4 free throws, I think, in the game. Yeah, He's too good a free throw shooter to never shoot free throws. He's got to get to the line.
Coach, all season long, you've emphasized trust the process, just trust the process. After Saturday's win, did you notice a change in the mood of the players saying, they're more hungry to get back to work, like, let's go attack this SEC schedule? Like, did you notice that they were, more eager than in past games where you guys have won to, get back at it, get back to work?
Yeah, I guess not the same question, but I omitted that part of the question I was asked earlier. Our mindset is not tied into opponent. It's not tied into success or failure. Our mindset's about getting better every single day. I just heard Oliver Luck say that in the media yesterday. They asked him about their team and their mindset. And I keep calling him Oliver Luck, Andrew Luck. And he said, we don't tie our mindset and our emotions to success or failure in the previous game. It's all about everyone doing their best to get better on every single day. And that's the fight that we've been. Young kids tie their emotions to winning and losing too much, tie their emotions to who the opponent is. That's last game I said something about we're trying to get our guys to understand how to play the game, not the opponent. It's all tied into the mindset that we're trying to create because we got so many first-year guys with us that, if they played somewhere else before, I don't know how they did it at that place. I needed to understand how we do it here. And then freshmen, I don't care where they come from, they're pretty much all in the same boat. They're too tied into the opponent. This team learned a lot of lessons the first 3 weeks of the season. Based on how we performed against certain opponents, how we prepared for certain opponents, how we handled injuries, the mindset, the whole deal. It's all part of the journey that every team has to go through. And I can tell you this, we're really, really learning how to practice. We had no idea how to practice. They tried, but they had no idea how to practice. See, we were real good in practice in October when we weren't playing any opponents. But once the season starts, then, because we play a game, they think the next day's a day off. And then we're playing a team that doesn't have a big name, but they got a lot of juniors and seniors that have been through the wars together, like Stony Brook. Our guys, if you ask the guys in our locker room, we're Stony Brook, other than Justin Minaya, I don't think a single guy on our team will be able to tell you that it's in Long Island, New York. But they're 4-0 in bye games this year. They didn't just beat us. They're 4-0 in bye games because they got juniors and seniors that have been through it, and they played Vermont nose to nose in their conference last year, and Vermont's really, really good, and those guys are prepared for the moment, and our guys learned a lesson that game, and would I rather win than lose? Absolutely. Would they rather win and lose? Absolutely. But we as a team for that day, we weren't prepared to take on that opponent on that day, and that ends up on my plate. I should have done something differently to get these freshmen more prepared for that game. But at the end of the day, it's the journey that we have to go through. We're learning how to practice every day. Now, we attack practice every day with a different mindset than we did November 1st. And that's the journey to keep getting better there.
Right. When you went to Mississippi State last year, Hassani, I know you guys butted heads a lot during last year for different circumstances, but he had a big game. He had the 3 at the end of regulation and stuff like that. Did you learn something about him in that game that maybe has translated to this season where despite, a poor stretch of play, he can figure it out, he has that competitiveness to keep it going, and now you see it night in, night out as a senior?
Not really. Not that game in specific. I think last year was all a journey for Hassani. Hassani's whole challenge has always been mental, not physical. And it's not that he's mentally weak. It's just understanding how to focus in, understanding how to stay in the moment, understanding how to be a better teammate, understanding how to be more receptive to coaching, understanding how to prepare. Those have been all his issues. He worries about a lot of things that don't impact winning and losing. You know, and that's not a journey for him athletically. That's a journey for him as a human being, so he can continue to succeed whenever his playing days are over with. And he keeps growing at that. And that's the one thing that I tried to express after the game the other day, is that, you know, he keeps growing there. This is the most connected he's been with our team, our coaching staff, with preparation in a long time. You know, he came up to me late, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 minutes ago in that Florida game, and they had just fouled us, and we're getting ready to shoot a free throw, and he came running to me. He says, their coach just called 13. That's their 1-3-1 defense. He's telling me what their coach said on the floor. They just called 13, so they're going to the 1-3-1. Never in his wildest dreams had he ever come close to doing anything like that. You know, that's because his mind is more connected with everything we're trying to do. So he's more engaged mentally, which then allows his physical, because he's a freak athlete, which then allows his physical play to have more success on the floor. And he's learned how to work on his game a little bit. You know, he's no longer the last guy on the floor and the first one off. You know, he's tired of being a 20% three-point shooter. He's actually putting in time. So guess what? The ball's starting to go in for him. All those things connect. And I hope he keeps doing it because, you know, for this team to be good, we need him to be good.
How's Justin doing?
He's doing all right. I just finished. That's one of the reasons I was a couple minutes late. He just popped his head in the office, and we're just sitting there talking. And like all competitive young athletes that are dealing with injury, they get over-eager to get clarity on when that body gets right, you know. And, you know, it's like I told him, I said, why are you worried about it? I get it. As a competitor, you want to get cleared. I get it. You want to feel good again. I get it. I understand. But don't worry about it. Get yourself healthy. When you get healthy, then we'll worry about everything else. So he's his biggest problem is a good problem. He wants to help the team. He's tired of sitting on the side. And it's but Mother Nature and God kind of that heals everyone differently, and he just has to trust that you know, we're close to the end as far as him, you know, finalizing the whole rehab and getting himself ready to go.
You're facing one of the top senior guards in the league tomorrow night in Q Weatherspoon. Just you've seen him obviously the last 3 years. Just can you talk about how hard he is to defend?
Does everything, you know, shoots a three, plays off the bounce, plays without the ball. As good a sneaky offensive rebounder as I've coached against in my time here in the SEC. You know, he's a 6'4", 5", long-armed guy that doesn't wow you with athleticism like Michael Carrera. But all of a sudden he comes up with big-time offensive rebounds in critical possessions of the game. Tough as nails. He's their guy. And they've got a lot of guys, and he's their guy. I got a lot of respect for him. He's a real good player. Last year, the game here, we were down 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there, and we mounted a comeback and cut it to 1, and he went, like, lulled everyone to sleep, shot fake Chris, foul, three-point shot, came down, hit in the zone, found a dead spot, the ball got to him, stuck a three from 3-4 feet behind the three-point line, and all of a sudden, a one-point game becomes 7 again. It's who he is. He's real good. He's real good, and I'm sure if you ask Ben, he'll tell you he's tired of coaching against Chris Silva. I'm tired of coaching against Q Weatherspoon because he's real good. He's a problem.
Having gone to a Final Four, and we've got the college football national championship game tonight, how the two processes for basketball and football, the controversy that surrounds football, and it seems like the seamless event that is the college basketball tournament. Just from where you sit as a college basketball coach, how much do you kind of maybe appreciate the process of the national tournament whittling its way down to a Final Four, then an ultimate 2, compared to all the complaining and moaning about how the process is handled for football?
I don't know, Phil. I really don't. You know, I grew up like probably most of us in this room, couldn't wait to wake up January 1st to watch those bowl games. That's the way I grew up. And I thought it was awesome. You wake up and you watch the first one at noon, and then you watch the granddaddy of them all at 8 o'clock at night. And never left my couch watching games that whole day. And I thought it was awesome. I thought that was big time. You know, but powers to be in football tried to make a decision to make it a truer national champion. I get it. You know, I don't know how you. I don't coach football. I haven't gotten smashed in a long time, and I don't mean smashed at a bar. I mean smashed on the field in a long time. Think about it. How many games is Alabama going to play? 14? 15? NFL guys play how many? Yeah, the ones that go all the way to the Super Bowl play 19. The ones that play one playoff game, they play 17. So, you know, I don't know. Is it right to ask a kid to play 16, 17 college games? I don't know. I don't know if it's right for me to comment on that. I got an opinion, but I think my opinion is worthless because I don't coach football. I'm not in that. In that place. I've got opinions on things that pertain to me. The ones that don't pertain to me, you know what my opinion on that is? Why would you make a college kid play 16, 17 football games? That's what the NFL guys play. You know how many NBA guys play? 82. That's why we played 27. You understand what I'm saying? That's my opinion. But I think my opinion is worthless because I'm not in that walk of life every day. I kind of like it with the 4 teams myself, you know, as a fan. I kind of like it. But if you go to 8, you've heard me argue this, okay? I think the NCAA tournament, and I'm more forceful in my opinion here because it's my walk of life. We went from 32 to 60 whatever to 64. Now we're, what, 68? And I've been of the opinion we should go to 96 because there's 354 Division I schools. It's only fitting, percentage-wise. It's the same thing, okay? You know, football, there's 100 and, I don't know, 10, somewhere in there, 30. I got no idea what the number is, but I know it's somewhere in there. You know, I don't know. I don't have, so what would you do? Conference championships are first weekend in December, right? Is that when it is? So you'd have to play basically a week off and then go bang, 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 3 consecutive weeks. That's a long, I don't know. I think college football coaches and college football players, guys that maybe are NFL guys that have played the 15, I'd be more interested in the opinion of an NFL guy that's playing 16 that actually played in the last 3 or 4 years all the way to the last game. So they played 15 college games. I'd be more interested in their opinion, what their bodies felt like. Was it worth playing 15 football games, knowing that in the NFL they only play 16, but yet you're a college athlete not making $20 million a year or whatever they make. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I don't know. I didn't mean to hedge. I just, I don't know. NBA guys play 82. We play 27. So if we extend the NCAA tournament because there's 356 teams or whatever we have to 96, okay, so now it adds another 1 game for a group of people. Okay, so we end up playing 35 games instead of 34 games or 36 instead of 35. Still, compared to what the professionals play, that's not even half their season. That's the only thing I would say. And with that, I'm out.